and COVID is messing everything else up. So, if you asked me this question like 6 months ago, I would have told you it was fantastic. I was starting to build something. I was getting somewhere with all this, but now it just feels like I'm juggling balls and I don't know how to juggle, and she keeps throwing shit at me.
So I think I've asked you this before. Is switching libraries an option?
No, we're in a hiring freeze. Only reason they're moving anybody over, like, we're getting a new children's librarian because our old children's librarian like literally went and left for us for a different system like last week, and they're moving a teen librarian from a different library to our library to be our children's librarian. Yeah, and I don't think they're replacing that teen librarian position because there's no teens coming in and we don't have enough resources, so we're all spread thin. It's crazy. Have like a good chunk of our staff is out due to COVID related shit.
Yeah.
Like just not all over.
My night job is retail, so that's nightmarish with people and employees refusing to do what they're supposed to. So I spend most of my time doing manager stuff in the back room so I can avoid most people. And I only come up front to help them out when like the line gets backed up. My day job's in a factory, and they refuse to tell us when someone is out because they suspect they'll have COVID. Because if they do, then they have to close down, and because they accepted the PayPal protection program, they have to pay our paychecks.
The PayPal protection program.
Oh yeah, I was just looking at PayPal, paycheck protection program, which they didn't actually have to use because they never shut down. But they kept the money, and they did pay some bonuses, but they're trying not to shut down at all, and they keep losing different people every week, like main bosses that see every single person in the plant, but then they test and they're fine, so then they come back, except for the one guy that did test positive, and then he took his time off and tested negative again, and they never said anything about it. So cool. So anyways, I wasn't feeling
too wonder why this thing is so bad.
I took 2 weeks off so that I could self-quarantine to go see my kid on Christmas because his mother wouldn't let me come in anymore. Her parents are very susceptible, and so are mine.
Yeah. This whole thing is nuts. All of Danielle's mom, Danielle's brother, Danielle's father-in-law, they all have it. Like right now. My grandfather has it.
How's he doing?
He's in the hospital. He's in the hospital.
Will he recover?
I have no idea. He's got pneumonia in both of his lungs.
Yeah, my dad's on his way. We're kind of hoping he'll make it till Christmas, but not because of COVID. So that's why I'm attempting.
My grandpa, he's got pneumonia in both of his lungs right now. He's already talking about like I've led a good life. He's like 86 or 87 or some shit. So
he's expecting to not survive.
Yeah, he's already talking like he's not gonna live through it.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Do a big ass fight with my mom 2 days ago because I'm still trying to help them out during all this. And then she expects that I'm like supposed to do everything she says. I stopped doing that when I was a teenager. What makes you think I'll do it now? I don't even live with you. And then they really wanted me to do this job that I told them 6 times I don't want to fucking do. Either hire someone or call my brother over. So I went out and tried to do it anyways because I was stuck there for a while doing my laundry and my dishes. They have a dishwasher and I don't. And So I went out and attempted to do it, and then heard her talking shit about me doing it through the fucking window.
Ugh.
So I went back in and threw her shit back at her and said, do it your fucking self. You're going to be an asshole about the job I didn't want to do. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So
God
that's
damn,
good
people.
fun. Trying to, quell my murderous rage.
Why is it automatically recording?
It's not automatically recording. I'm recording.
Oh, you did it on purpose? Okay.
Yes, it's not automatically doing it.
On me.
On your side? Oh, well, I didn't even know you could see, but I am. Hey, look, we have someone coming in.
No,
Who's
I
Michael?
see that it is.
Am I able to admit him?
I don't know.
Michael,
Yeah,
I don't know which
you're the
person
one,
this is.
You should be able to admit him. You're the one who got the...
Oh, I remember her. She's one of the people from Terry's poetry readings out in Lakewood at Mahal's.
Oh,
she's still connecting to the audio. I'm gonna go grab my snack and my wine. I'll be right back.
Gosh, you guys are there already.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna be
We're using his
disappearing.
account, so he had to log me in.
So it's right now. It's just Ryan, John, Romig, and me. So, want to give me a kiss? Well, yeah, nobody's. There's only 3 of us here, honey. So,
Oh no!
Gotcha.
On camera, being affectionate to his wife.
I know. Bye, honey. Have fun. Okay, and tell Mindy I said hi, right?
I will. Yep. Have a Merry Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
I had snacks and wine that I brought myself. So that's getting together.
Yeah.
Get the fuck.
So
I've been doing this.
Be disappearing here in a little.
Hi, Ryan.
Hi. I've been doing this video thing with my kid all week.
I missed you. And Josh, nice to meet you. I wanted to meet you. I'm glad you're on here.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Mary,
I like
Josh.
your posts. What was that?
Mary, Josh, Mary.
I met him on Facebook through you, so we're friends on Facebook now. We have been for a while, I think.
Yep.
Josh started that writing group with me that I now publish out of. Stole the name.
Oh. Cool. That's
back in our
awesome.
Kent Ashtabula days.
Is that where you guys both lived? In Ashtabula?
Ish.
Yeah.
I lived outside the city. It felt like a better option.
Yeah.
I keep getting
love all the
reports.
creative
The further
stuff.
out you go, the better it is.
Yeah, farther away.
Yeah, I have never seen anyone be successful who still was in Ashtabula. I have seen some try very, very hard, but I have yet to see success happen unless you leave.
Yeah, I don't know too much about Ashtabula, but I think the little bit that I think about it is it's kind of a, I don't know, is it kind of white redneck hillbilly land?
Mostly.
Okay.
It's half that and half people trying to be urban.
Okay.
That was probably the least racist way I could make that sound.
So,
yeah, probably not my kind of place.
The best way I've ever heard Ashtabula described is this. It's a city that's big enough that you're likely to get mugged at least once in your life, but small enough that you sat behind the person that mugged you in like algebra class.
I like that analogy. That's good. That describes it well.
Ashtabula is a poor city, and it's not just that it's poor, it's that it has kind of this epidemic of apathy. No one ever really strives to do better there.
Mm-hmm.
They just kind of live with the circumstances they're in.
Yeah.
Generational economic and clinical depression.
I could see that. Josh was just telling me about his depression. He works as a librarian, and it's been very difficult. And he has one of those.
Did you get furloughed, Josh, or did you get to keep your job?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got furloughed for about 4 months, and then we got back and we started it with curbside, and then we transitioned into we're basically pretty much just open, Like the only restrictions are you have to wear a mask in the building. Like we're cleaning off the computers every hour. Other than that, it's like free for all. Do whatever, and it's like, oh god, I just feel like it's only I feel like it's a ticking time bomb. I'm gonna bring it home.
Mentor is
Are you at a
kind of like that.
Cuyahoga County public branch, or what branch are you at?
I'm at I'm in a different system entirely. I'm in the Akron Summit County Public Library system.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
he's out in Cuyahoga Falls.
okay.
Yeah. So
'Cause
I work at
because I know a couple of my friends that worked at the Cuyahoga County public branches, and one of my girlfriends is at the Lakewood Public Library, and they furloughed her, and they never asked her to come back.
oh
So,
god.
I mean, part of it is she worked in the computer lab part, and I think I don't know if the computer stuff is shut down, but they didn't ask Amy to come back, so I don't know. I don't know if
Ouch.
that's, a lot of the libraries are just have a skeleton crew or not.
Well, a lot of places are just doing curbside right now. Like they're not coming, like they're not doing outside anything. I'm so jealous of them.
Mentor just actually reopened their building. They did a weird thing. They were furloughed for a very short bit, like maybe a month. And then they opened up drive-through only for months. Then they opened up their building again and like had like all their half the computers were shut down and things like that.
Yeah.
When Lake County went to purple, they went back to only drive-through, but they only did that for 2 weeks. Now that Lake County is back to red, they've fully opened again, but not many people got the message yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, ours is like you come in, you have to wear a mask. Every other computer is shut down for social distancing purposes, and we're like cleaning everything off.
They're shutting down like they used to be every other hour. Now they're doing it like 2 or 3 times a day to like sanitize everything.
Yeah, we just go and we don't shut down to sanitize. We just sanitize as the day goes on. And I don't know. It's I want to be like, the thing is, like, we're on the levy next year, so we can't afford to only do curbside at this point. Like, we got to be fresh in people's minds as like somebody who was there for them during the pandemic, despite the fact that it puts all of us, the workers, at risk.
Well, the good news is that somebody did ask me to make some new books. One for a tragic reason and one for a good reason. Damn it. The lady, Margie DeLong, who runs the Words and Wine in Paynesville.
Yeah.
She's got a stepson who wrote some like Star Wars fanfic and wanted it as a book.
Okay.
And upon reading it and other context clues, I have a feeling he's developmentally disabled. So, I mean, that wouldn't have made a difference to me. So I put the book together, but he didn't have a cover. It's like some custom character he wanted to make a story about. So I contacted one of my commission artists.
And they did a picture?
They're working on it.
That's neat.
They haven't started yet. It's Wayward Cross. It's they're pretty staples of all the local cons. They're Cleveland local. And they've done a ton of really good work for my like custom Power Ranger characters and whatnot. But there is somebody else I want to tell you about. We've lost one of the poetry community.
Who?
The name sad. I'm getting, it was a husband and wife team up there at Words and Wine in Paynesville. The husband was hard of hearing. So most of the time he would usually ask to read your stuff afterwards because he couldn't hear you perform. I'm looking up his name right now. It is the husband. He had a stroke and passed off. Stan Kaufman.
Oh.
I don't know him. That's sad though.
He was kind of only locally known around the Lake County area. Him and his wife did a lot of stuff together.
Yeah, I wish I could say I remember, but I've only been up there a handful of times.
Yeah, and his most memorable quality if you were a pop in and out, or would have been his hard of hearingness because he would ask to read your work when you're done.
Yeah.
You guys are freezing up on me. I wonder why. Is it happening on your end?
It
Just moving
kind
my
of
cord.
comes and goes on my
it,
end.
it just happened.
Cause you bleeped
Yeah.
out. You bleeped out for a minute. Let me see if that's better.
Mm.
It might have been me because I'm hosting and I was tinkering around with other stuff.
Oh, okay.
Like I've got 800 things on my laptop going on.
Yeah.
Hey, Ryan, I wanted to just to change the subject for a minute. Did you know Russ Vidrick that's from our Mayhall's poetry group? Do you remember Russ?
I do remember Russ.
So Russ did a Zoom poetry thing, and I like like a month ago, I said, oh, Ryan's invited me a bunch of those, and then I chicken out and I never did it, right? Never did it. And then finally I'm like, okay, I'm so sick of not seeing people, not doing stuff, and I got to figure out how to do this Zoom thing. So Russ invited me to one like 3 weeks ago, and I did it, and then he invited me to one tonight that was at 7, and I was hoping maybe gonna combine them, but he didn't invite you, or you didn't invite him?
No, he invites me. I kind of pulled Denny's Day is normally like our monthly like friends meet up and just talk, and because we're adults, and if you don't plan that, it never happens.
I know, so true.
So, and it was
Yeah.
Denny's because we used to meet at Denny's.
Oh, okay.
Only
I was
because we
wondering
have a
who Denny
history with
was.
Denny's.
Yeah.
He did invite me, but I haven't been able to attend any events, even online, because I've been working 2 jobs.
Are ya?
I took off 2 weeks to self-quarantine so I could see my kid and my dad
Yeah.
on Christmas. Partly I want my kid to see my dad because this may be his last Christmas.
Oh, yeah, I hope
So,
not.
like, he's not doing well, and we're just trying to get him through
Yeah,
each day,
yeah,
And I'm trying to help out my family, but my mother, as I was just bitching about, makes it very difficult. I got into a fight with her 2 days ago.
yeah. So that's priority then, to be with your kid too right now. So what are the 2 jobs that you're doing? Because I feel bad you're not doing anything with the
Had to cut it all off. I mean, no
right,
one was physically
winter.
meeting anyways, and I was unemployed for 6 months.
Okay, because I knew you were out of work, but then you were doing a ton of. Normally you'd be doing the stuff getting ready for break winter this time of year, and that's canceled just like everything else, right?
Yeah, I
So
don't
that
know if they're going to
sucks.
do an online thing or not.
Yeah,
Emily hasn't really
I
said anything,
know.
but Emily has been kind of AWOL. She's been doing a lot of like funding and grant kind of like paperworky stuff behind the scenes, along with her crew, and they've been supporting some local like Black Voice and other type of underrepresented people because they got
Yeah.
grants to give to other people because of the pandemic.
Okay, so
So they've
maybe
been trying to
she's
do the things while
focused
keeping
on that.
people out of their building.
Yeah,
And I've been like, I kind of abandoned it for the last couple of months. I used to go once a week because no one's in the building.
yeah, right. Yeah,
And
but
I was
also
working on
self-
things, but after a while, I just kind of cut it out in lieu of doing job stuff and holiday stuff and my kid. And I
Yeah,
haven't been able to see my kid physically in a few weeks either.
yeah.
So,
Where's he been that you haven't had him? I thought you had custody of him.
no, he lives with his mother.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I thought you had custody. Probably just
No,
'cause-
and she lives with her parents who are susceptible, so she's worried. My parents are susceptible. So we're doing the best we can.
Yeah, this whole thing sucks.
My sister-in-law works for Job and Family Services, so
doing that.
she's kind of in the thick of it.
Yeah,
All the fun.
my thing's saying your internet connection is unstable. I don't know why.
Mine?
No, on you, when you blipped out this time, it said on the screen, it said your internet connection is unstable. I don't know if that's because everybody in the house is probably on internet.
It could be. Zoom gets overwhelmed easily because it overnight became like massively used
Right.
when it was not developed originally for that.
Yeah.
And it's
'Cause
not like they
now-
have technicians on site.
Yeah, right. So now if you want to see people, you got to do Zoom.
My son's been using Google Meetings because he knows it well from his online classes.
Oh, that's cool.
Except he also knows how to present and constantly likes to screw with me.
Yeah.
They can't turn it off in his classes. He got in trouble for doing that too.
Well, he's
Mm.
he's pretty techie for his age then.
Yeah, well, he's been watching YouTube videos all day because I turned him on to a Transformers series. It's only on
Oh,
YouTube.
that's cool.
Like, well, one of the voice actors is the Power Ranger actor we follow, so
Oh, that's neat.
that's all it
So
took
he
to sell him
recognizes-
on it.
Yeah, that's fun. Have you guys been getting together with your friends and peeps outside doing outdoor walks in the winter and bonfires and stuff?
Nope.
Because that's what I've been doing to survive. It helps. So last night, we had our friends from Olmsted Falls. Their 2 kids were out of town. And we sat out in the backyard and did a bonfire in the pouring, freezing rain for 2 hours.
Yeah, that's part of the reason we probably haven't done it. The other reason is we're all paranoid.
I know. Well, I'm paranoid too. And nobody even came in the bathroom to, I don't think anybody even, I think John's the only one that came in the bathroom to pee out of the 9 of us. And when I have people come to the house, I don't have them cut through the house or go to the front door. I tell them, go to the side gate, like what I was doing when I was hosting the poetry thing here in the summers. I know you didn't make any of them.
I was working.
But I know, and those were really fun. And then everybody was going through the side gate. And of course, we didn't have to have bonfires then. And we were able to social distance in the yard. But now that it's cold, I've been trying to meet people one-on-one, like for, walks in the metro parks. And I met my
Oh, that's a good idea.
yeah, it
Where
really
did
helps me mentally from, just taking a nosedive.
The last outing I had with my kid before she cut it off was Holden Arboretum.
Oh, see, that's awesome. I'd love
I
to go
think
there.
the guy, there's like these weird stick sculptures there that you can walk in and around like a maze.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
I think that guy might be one of the Erie poetry people too. The
Yeah, I've
name
heard
sounded
about that
very
poet.
familiar.
Yeah, yeah, if you remember the name while we're on this.
It was Sean, I want to say Sean Doherty or something,
Yeah,
right?
'cause
Or
I think
Doherty.
somebody posted about that. And I
But,
haven't been to Holden Arboretum for years.
Holden
That
has
place
just
is
sent
cool.
like a bunch of please help us fund this emails to me because the storms have wrecked them up recently.
Oh, really?
They got
Like
pretty,
trees
they lost a ton of trees and like all these
oh, that's
like
sad.
storms we've had.
Yeah, that's really sad.
But Holden was fun. You got to reserve tickets to anywhere you go. Didn't know
Yeah.
that the first time I went. So I
Yeah,
couldn't get in the first time.
I'll bet. And they're limited people probably that they're letting in.
Yeah, all the good fun. Like my kid's birthday was in July and I took a whole week off of work just to spend with him because I knew what was coming.
Yeah,
So I tried to make
exactly.
it as fun as he could for him.
I know. Yeah, it's tough on the kids.
He hasn't seen, he had a friend here at my apartment he was playing with. The kid knocks on my door every day to see if Xander's over. And
Aw,
I'm like, no, Xander's going to be at home for a while. And he still knocks on the door again the next day whenever
yeah.
he sees me out and about.
And he's hopeful that Xander's going to be around sooner than
The
later.
kids like playing with their Transformers, and my kid's got this stupidly massive collection because of me.
Well, yeah, and you got the fun house, so all the kids want to come over and play with all your toys.
Collect a lot of toys, and it's rare that somebody who's a collector lets their kid play with them.
Yeah,
And some of my toys are
true.
older than me, and
right.
as long
Yeah,
as he's responsible with it, he's been mostly okay.
yeah. Josh, when we were downsizing our 5-bedroom giant 104-year-old Victorian on Bell Avenue in Lakewood, Ryan was coming over a lot because like it seemed like, and none of my 3 adult kids were around to help me like go through stuff and figure out, and we're really sentimental about toys too, like Ryan. But I would like lay a lot of stuff out on the pool table and take pictures and send them to the 3 of them and say, okay, what here, do you want to keep and what can I, what can I give away to people? And Ryan got some of the games and toys and stuff. And I said, oh, it'll make me feel happy if he ever uses them in a sculpture or something one day.
I think Josh actually inherited most of those games. Josh is my go-to dumping ground for board games.
Well, good then, Josh. You have some of them then. I'm happy. Some of those were Bodnar family gems.
Like we get like boxes of games and stuff from Ryan periodically. Like
I've been bombing him like about once a month here with like boxes of random bullshit. Your problem now. Bye.
Yeah.
No, dude.
Yeah.
Though, like that last box, it took us a while to get to it, but it was just sitting in our cold room for a while, and I decided to go look at it the other day, and there was a whole thing of like writing prompts for 3rd to 6th graders.
Oh, that came from my work.
That's funny.
And I'm like, dude, that's like a program. I could just use that for work.
Yeah, my
right,
work
if
was
you work
tossing
with
out
kids
tons
at
of
the
these damn
library,
things.
That's cool.
And I just
Yeah.
grabbed them a whole case of something random.
Do you work in the children's department, Josh, at your library?
I'm the intermediate teen librarian. So
So like the
basically
preteens to teen?
3rd to 12th grade.
Oh boy, that's a range. Oh,
Yeah,
we froze her. Oh, there she is.
I know. Yeah. Can you hear me, Josh?
I can hear you now.
I don't know why it keeps saying internet connection's unstable. I don't know why.
I think it's Zoom. I don't think it's necessarily your internet.
Are you in the children's section at the library, Josh? That's what I was asking you. Are you a children's librarian?
I'm the intermediate teen librarian, so I got all the grades from 3 to 12.
Okay, that's cool. So including YA and all that genre too, right? That's good.
Yep. YA and all the. Technically, my collection is just the YA collection, even though my programming is 3rd through 12, which is like, it's a little weird because like technically half of what I program for, I don't actually like manage or do anything with the collection for those people.
Okay.
Like, yeah, it's all wibbly wobbly. Yeah.
Josh, did that table wind up working out for you?
So far so good.
Okay, cool. I found some weird ass short table for him to use for his game room.
Oh, I
It is
like it.
there.
The
Very nice.
only one time I showed up at his place to do games, there was no table. It was just the floor up in one of his attic rooms.
Well, that's perfect because the ceiling slopes, so you need a lower table so you can sit there and not hit your head, right?
As long as it works for you. I'm glad the hardware worked out.
Yeah.
I wasn't so sure of that because some of it looked a little wrecked.
It worked out. It was a little wrecked. But as long as we don't move the table, we're fine.
All right. Well, whenever,
Unless-
whatever goes down, I can always fix it if you really need to. Speaking of which, I'm going to whine about my mother's favoritism for a minute because it's just bothering me. So
Okay.
I have put all of my kids' presents up in my mom's attic, and then that's where my mom keeps all her Christmas decorations. So they were wrapping presents, and my brother went up there to get down the wrapping paper and everything, and the attic broke. Like one of the hinges snapped off.
Oh, no.
Age, what happens, No big deal. Well, before he sealed up the attic, he forgot to get down all the shit I needed to wrap.
Oh.
All of my kids' stuff. So I had to unseal it and use the broken ass stairs because the only ladder that would have been big enough for that is buried in her shed behind all of her yard sale stuff. So I used it and broke it the rest of the way.
I bet trying to climb up a broken ladder.
I wrecked it up. I made sure I killed it completely. So then I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, one, while it was installed was terrible. And I know who installed it. It was one of my junky cousins. And then I'm like, well, I can actually fix this if you want to, but talk to the landlord. Maybe he'll just replace it because she's been living there for 15 years. And she's put a bunch of improvements onto that guy's house. They rent, my parents. But then she turns and asks my brother, like, can it be fixed? Why the hell would you ask him? I'm like, Mom, I have a degree in engineering. And like, you've watched me build massive things that hold thousands of pounds. My brother's a drug addict. Why would you ask his opinion? His brain is cooked.
Well, maybe she was trying to empower him. I mean, that's a mother trying to reach to the
sibling rivalry at its greatest.
Less abilities, and then you ask them to make them feel empowered. Because he's probably used to you always getting the attention, I bet.
Nope, not at all. It was entirely the other way around. Josh knows the history with my mother. It's not pleasant.
Yeah, anyway. I know.
Hey, so we got a new guy, Dr. Ben.
Hey, what's up?
One of the recipients of our books. Ben, this is our monthly, well, it hasn't been monthly for a while, but this is kind of like just a friends meetup to hang out. Talk shit. Because adults don't plan it, adults don't do it.
For sure. I'm down.
And Ben has also been doing comics, and ultimately one of our books will be a comic of his.
Yeah. Well, you did.
That's fun.
What you did, you printed out like a poetry thing.
Yep. Sure did.
a year ago or 2 years ago. Something I can't remember.
A while back. I've been
Yeah.
distributing them for a while, but no one's been
Yeah.
meeting for a long time.
Yeah, I'm in
Mhm.
Conneaut too, so that's the other thing.
Yeah, all the scene is either, well, actually, you're closer to Erie. There's a pretty robust scene in Erie.
Yeah, Erie's got a good scene going.
But Cleveland, it's not well publicized outside of Erie. You kind of have to know a
Right.
person who tells you about it, then you can go.
Oh, and yeah, the poetry thing up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went to
Mhm.
one night up there. I guess it'd be 2 years ago now. Yeah.
Was it at Calamari's?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, Chuck Joy runs that now. Used to be with C. Williams, when C used to own their own physical space.
Yeah, it was
Mhm.
definitely it was weird because like I went up there and I was meeting like a lady friend, and we go over there, and there was someone there that was doing it that like she had some sort of problem with or something, like
I have a feeling I know who you are. There's a handful of people up there that got either a speech impediment or a developmental disability, and those are not the scenes where you ever tell anyone no to express themselves, no matter who
Right.
they are.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's just sometimes they're a little harder to listen to or
it
pay
wasn't
attention
even
to.
that. It was like they had some sort of like dramatic clash in their history of, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh yeah, no. The Erie scene is full of weird beef.
yeah.
It is full
It's
of weird beef.
Erie's got a very strong class division among the poor and the not poor, and the blacks and the not blacks, and the gays and the not
No,
gays.
I don't even. It's not even systemic racism deep. It is just like hot drama is all it is.
That's
like,
exactly.
Yes,
like,
I'm not missing too much by not going out there.
Yeah,
Well,
that's exactly what it
there
was.
are
Here's-
very talented people there, and they are very
yeah,
welcoming
there
Yeah, I
to
bet.
newcomers.
Yeah.
really good poets, and some of
Yeah.
my favorite poets are also like my favorite poets in Erie are also like part of that drama. Like,
Yeah.
there's this. I don't want to get into it like super details, but like one of the guys up there, it was like some Me Too shit was going on.
Oh,
And then
yeah. I
there's,
know what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah,
I
that's
gotcha.
scary.
And the problem was that the individuals involved, you didn't know the mental stability of both, but also you don't want to deny a victim.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
That's
But
what I'm
so
saying.
there's a weird, like, it's reasonable to expect that she may not be sane, but it's also reasonable. You also don't want to like victim blame.
Mm-hmm.
well, also there was just like also issues of people taking credit of stuff that other people did.
Oh no, that's not
just
good.
all
It's-
sorts of weird beef up there. It's
That's
Good
that's
news
exactly
is they
it.
don't. If you're a newcomer, they're not going to throw that beef on you. You'll just hear about it secondhand.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Um,
it was. That's what I'm saying. It was just like such a weird, like, because I'd seen like they had like, because they have like a monthly like poetry thing or whatever. And I was just like,
up until COVID, what's his
Yeah.
name was actually doing it weekly, I think.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was like a regular
Mhm.
thing they were doing, and I was just like, wow, okay, this is really cool,
And
and like,
Chuck got grants to do it and get more of their
they were.
poetry stuff into the libraries.
Oh, that's really cool.
And they were actually one of the biggest contributors to Words to the Wise, where I was like getting poetry books from locals and getting them into the libraries.
Okay.
That's
So
great.
Erie was one of the recipients the last time I did. I didn't do it this year because no one's doing anything.
I know.
But I did it, I think, the last 2 years,
yeah.
2 or 3, something like that, where I just gathered up poetry books from local writers and distributed them among different libraries in the area.
That's awesome.
So it's all good fun.
Yeah.
Got our name out there. Now Josh has a book in a library. So do I.
It's awesome.
And a handful of other locals.
And both the Dillon's volumes are at Lakewood Public Library, but it's its own independent branch. So that's the only library that we pitch to because that's our hometown and they know our family and they know my
I
kids.
think Lakewood was on my list. I don't know if they got it. I know Lakewood, I didn't physically go there to give it to them. If I did, I mailed it to them. Because the way they accept their stuff for donations isn't at the branch. It's at like some main office somewhere.
Oh, for Lakewood?
Yeah.
You know what? They actually purchased both of Dylan's books from me, which was really nice because usually when we published both editions, I gave them to like prominent writers that that are friends that wrote reviews back. Like Les Roberts wrote an outstanding review on Dylan's first book. That I'm not saying it was responsible for sales and I pretty much sold everything out of trunk sales out of my trunk, so all the money went straight back into Dylan's pocket. I was his editor and I was his press person and PR and all that, and so I sold all the books both times, but I never tried to get into Cuyahoga County Public Library branches. There's 33 branches, but I don't know, a couple writer friends said it's hard to get in there. Did you guys ever try to sell to a big library system? Or
I did not sell, but they took them as donation. And yes, I did. One of our first year we did it, I got some into the main branch downtown Cleveland.
Or to get them to put it?
I think she told me they were going to put it into circulation, but I don't know if it's still in circulation.
Okay.
It's not like I follow up and check to see if they're still there.
I know. I only looked one time on the library to actually see Dylan's on the shelf, and then I never looked again. So who knows? They may not be there.
But I know Mentor. I actually searched their system and found both me and Josh's books in there. But now they're part of CleveNet,
cool.
So I don't know if that changed or not.
Yeah, that's cool.
Hey Ben, by the way, the books that I make for everybody, there's not like a copyright thing on it. So the reason I give you guys all the files is you're always welcome to print and distribute your own too.
Oh, right on.
So
Yeah,
you don't have to worry about me coming like, hey, that's our stuff. It's not, it's your stuff.
Right on. Yeah, no, I haven't, let's see, because it was either 2017 then or 2018 when you did the poetry book for me, right? Because it was, what was it? It was Blasphemous.
Here, meet Odie.
Beautiful Blasphemy.
Goes away.
Beautiful Blasphemy.
Say hi to Odie.
Odie.
He's leaving now.
But
I'm surprised Josh hasn't jumped with the dog yet.
That's what I was
Go grab
Sorry, Ben, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted
you're
to say
fine.
hi before he walks away.
But I was working at like the factory, right?
Mhm.
And the factory was just like,
It's mind-numbingly brutal.
Yeah, it was like
Only
60,
for
70 hour
boredom.
weeks. Like,
Yep.
So it's like anytime I wasn't there, it was like sleeping or, just thinking, like trying not to think about going back. You know what I mean? And then,
Look, Odie. There's a puppy dog, Odie. Look.
That's been my life for the last 5 months or so. I've been working 2 jobs. One is in a factory, but I get to work in a quality office instead of like assembly work.
right on. Yeah.
And then I have a retail job in the evening. But I took off 2 weeks to self-quarantine to see the kid for Christmas and my parents and all that.
Well, the
Right.
retail job's got to be tough this time of year.
People
Ryan,
are assholes.
What
Yeah.
retail store are you at?
I'm at the Dollar Tree.
Oh, that's got to be rough because I bet you it's packed every day.
It's reasonably busy, but the general manager there doesn't know how to do the job. So it's got a lot of problems.
Well,
And-
you could probably run circles around that person, I'm sure.
Possibly. I'm also way overly educated for that job. So
Yeah.
I try not to rub that in the face. But
you might see some cool toys, though, that you like there.
I have done that a lot.
I bet.
That and I have a very unique set of skills when it comes to dealing with massive piles of junk.
Mhm.
I've done that a lot.
Set of skills. It's like taken, but like for trash picking
Hmm
instead of murder.
Josh, I like your dog. What is he?
Oh, she is a purebred Ewok.
Oh, she's cute.
She didn't want to stay, huh?
No,
She looks
part
smaller than
dog.
Odysseus.
she's she's part pug, part Shih Tzu.
Okay. How much does she weigh?
Like 8 pounds.
I thought so. Can you guys believe he's 15?
15
This is-
pounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He-
chunker.
He's huge. Look at, I can see him. He's huge. He's a rescue kitty. We took him in March with the pandemic. He was going to get thrown out on the street, literally, because in March all the the animal shelters were closed. So the people that had him that were nasty, they were like moving from one apartment to the other, and the new apartment didn't take pets supposedly, and so they were literally going to throw Odie on the street, and we found him through a guy, on Facebook. So she brought him to the house, and that was that.
That's good.
Yeah, I had to lose all my cats when I moved to this apartment, but this apartment would have let them. It was more an option of, it was more the ability to take care of them properly.
Yeah.
I was, my house was in foreclosure and I was filing bankruptcy and all that good fun.
And then it's hard to take care of animals.
Rockin', yes.
All that fun. Ben, what do you do for work? You said you work in a factory?
No, I was. See, that's the whole thing that changed, right? Like, this is December?
Mm-hmm.
So last October, right? Like, not the October we just had, but like October 2019, I was in a major car accident.
Oh, that's right. You were busted to shit.
Yeah. I shattered both my heels, and my right ankle was broken off as well. Like, so, which I guess your heels is like one of the worst bones to break, because it's like, it's like your foot's there, and it's like your heel is just like the basis, everything all connects to the heel. So like, I would guess if maybe if you broke your foot like down here, or if you broke your leg, it's not as bad. At least that's what I was understood from what they all explained. So
that was a car accident, not motorcycle?
A car accident, yes.
Wow.
I apparently was going like 100 miles an hour. And I hit a concrete pillar.
Oh, no.
Flipped the car over.
Were you like asleep at the wheel or something?
I guess. I mean, I don't really care. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was drunk, apparently. I don't remember any of the accident besides like waking up in the car, like afterwards, just like, and like, I didn't know what happened either. I was like, what? Why? What's going on? Why am I here? Looks like I was in an accident. Shit. I know I was like in somebody's yard, and they're like yelling, and I'm like, I'll get this out of your yard. Just hold on, And
I fell asleep behind the wheel about a year after my divorce, and hit someone, but I was only going about 40, and I was very miraculously unhurt. Everybody involved was. I hit a minivan with 2 kids in it.
Oof.
Oh, gosh,
totaled the van,
scary.
wrecked up my truck pretty badly, but I walked out of it with not a single injury, and no one else did. So
Wow,
I got
God.
dumbass lucky on that one. But I was working, the 67-hour weeks.
Oh yeah.
Turned a corner and just went right out, and went over the line.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, my buddy was with me, and he walked away. Like, he literally like walked away from the accident. Like,
He didn't want to get arrested.
yeah. Wait, that's what I'm saying. It was just crazy. Like I said, like, I didn't know like what had happened at all. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't remember any of the day or anything. But so like, I'm not trying to not take responsibility or whatever, And that that's the other thing is like, I was, before that, I always thought I was like responsible. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I was like drinking, I wasn't like, okay, I'm gonna go start driving. I was like, okay, shit. I was always like paranoid, like, okay, I gotta wait. Give me some water, give me some snacks. Let's wait a little bit. I'm not. Give me a while. It'll be good to go. And yeah, they said I drank like most of a bottle of like Jack Daniels. So
Yeah, I feel like I am glad Shinkle doesn't is kind of paranoid even more than that, because we've seen our friend Aaron Shinkle do ridiculous amounts of alcohol and dumb things.
right.
But thankfully never behind a wheel.
Yeah, thank God.
He's almost always, when he gets that wrecked, is
to be
at his
fair,
house.
he does dumb things without the alcohol too.
That's true. It's true. The alcohol just makes him think his dumb things are a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
But
See that
he's
that was
always
my
done
buddy.
it when he's at home usually, or has another ride.
Right. See that's what I'm saying. That
It's
was my
safer.
buddy. He was the one that was like, not Aaron. It wasn't Aaron that was with me, but my buddy was like the sort that like I'd take him out and he would just drink and drink and drink and drink and just, start arguments with people or, try and jump off things or, just
No, that's not
insane.
Jump off things, huh?
Yeah, he's, but, like I said, thank God, he wasn't hurt, and 'cause I wouldn't, if it had been a reverse position, oof, I couldn't even imagine, like, I would just feel like horrible, you know what I'm saying? So, I couldn't walk for like 3 months. And
Well,
then,
that's a hard lesson to learn, that's for sure.
yeah.
A
Well,
hard lesson.
that's the thing that
Friends get trashed in wrecked cars. It's a hard lesson to learn.
that's what I'm saying is it's weird because it's like not remembering anything that led to it is like, it makes it like have this unreality, of like, because I can remember all the other times I've been drunk and like done something stupid or, you know what I mean? Like any time I've ever, I was never like the sort that went out and like got like blackout drunk. So that was what confused me. It's like so much. I was just like, I drank how much? Really? Ah, okay. Well, like I said, I wasn't trying to like deny it or fight it or anything. I was just like, why? What was I?
Surprised.
Then you got in the car with me then? Okay, well.
Yeah, why would you get in the car with me?
Yeah, my dad's got a lot of those stories too. You're like, all right, who's the most sober of us? I guess it's
Right.
you. And everyone's drunk that's in the car. But that was back in the 70s.
Yeah, it was a whole
I
different
mean,
thing.
that wasn't safe.
Still not good. They didn't have airbags back then.
Oh God, no! No one wore seatbelts. They
Right.
weren't
I
even
know.
seatbelts in most of his cars.
Yep, I know.
Um,
Yeah.
So that's
Josh.
what
Oh,
my job
sorry.
is. Yeah, so that's what I've had to try and figure out because I was working at like I was working at Briquettes actually in Ashtabula Harbor, and so like going back to like working in restaurants is like working in a factory.
Oh, read that. Wait a minute. I'll be right
If
back.
I'm on my feet for like 15, 20 minutes, it's like it feels like I've been on my feet for like 10 hours. You know what I mean? Like it's just like an entirely new thing. So my entire thing now is just to make comics, sell art, and try to figure out how to make money with that. I'm most likely I'll get disability. It's still all, but
Yeah, the making money part on it is probably the hardest part.
yeah, that's so that's where I'm at now. Is thankfully my family let me stay in there, stay with them because I couldn't go back to the apartment I had. My car was totaled. So
Yeah, that's a long journey too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's traumatizing. And speaking of that, I might see if you guys will want me to read this to you. It's called The Cars. It's about car wrecks. You might enjoy it, Dr. Benjamin.
for sure. Is
You guys want to hear it?
Is it like poetry or is it a story or?
I do poetry and prose, so it's more in the prose category.
Okay,
But it's entertaining, even though it's very traumatic.
for sure.
Okay, do you guys want me to read it now, or do you?
No, you go for it.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't
it's kind of long, but I'll hurry. Okay,
know your name though.
it's Mary. What does it
Okay.
show up on there? Yeah.
It's Michael. It's your husband's
Oh, you know
name.
what? I'm on Michael's laptop because my laptop's like, and I don't even know if I can do Zoom on mine. So he got a new one. This is his first laptop he's ever owned ever. So this is his. So I forgot that it comes up as Michael. Yeah, I'm Mary Bodnar.
Okay,
Nice to meet you.
I think I know the other guy. Your name is Josh.
Josh.
Josh Romig, he has up
He's
there.
done a lot of work with Beautiful Boss Me. He started the group with me.
That's what I'm
And then
saying,
I
like,
stole our name to use for the
You
publishing.
might
arm.
know me from something else too, because
That's what I'm saying. Like I know I recognize your name, and
I wonder if I can turn this.
I've been at all the like the geek stuff and around
Oh, Geek Expo maybe.
Yeah.
we most likely travel in very similar circles. I would not deny we probably have been at like the same party several times.
Yeah.
Like, I
That's what I'm
can't
saying.
like pinpoint exactly, but
I'm sure you're friends with like Dave Jackson and
yep.
all those
Yeah,
guys.
I'll tell you
So,
something about Dave. By the way, Dave does podcasts.
yeah, I've listened to his a few times. They're like,
They're very, very good.
Mhm.
yeah, he is really good with it.
All the
Like,
way from
Yeah.
nerd shit to a whole lot of Black Lives Matter kind of stuff, things like that.
Mhm.
That's cool.
Yeah, Dave's cool.
So he
I
reads
like Dave.
when he does his podcast, he reads his own essays or on topics and
No,
stuff.
his is kind of like in the talk radio category.
Oh, okay.
Or if it's the geek stuff, him and a friend or someone is reviewing something they liked, a video game, a show, or anything
Oh,
like that.
going back and forth.
Yeah, they did a
that's cool.
long shtick on Black Panther.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
He's a Power Ranger nerd like me, so they've done some stuff on that.
Yeah, that's neat.
So, all right.
Okay,
ready,
you
Mary?
ready? Okay.
yeah, I wanted to know your name. That way I'm like,
Can you hear me? I think you
Yeah.
can. Okay. It's called The Cars. I wrote, this was September of this year, September 2020, a really shitty year for all of us. No, not the group, although I love The Cars. This is an automobile car trauma story where no one was horribly injured, not as bad as you, Benjamin. A few weeks after Francesca graduated from Loyola University, Chicago in May 2019, my adventurous girl was bound and determined to drive across the United States to go live in a tent on Orcas Island off the coast of Washington in the San Juan Islands. Yep, closer to Vancouver in God's country with no car. How she was hell-bent on doing this carless is beyond me. Dylan, who has a big heart but not a big wallet, was going to buy her one, even though he was living on a shoestring with high rent in San Francisco. In a desperate attempt to save my oldest son from going into more debt beside his large student loans, I mine. Before I really could grasp what I was doing, I let her borrow my 2007 Honda Odyssey van. I will never forget that day, watching her pull out of our driveway with Loretta, New York, worrying about their safety with the 3,000-mile drive ahead of them with my beloved van loaded to the hill. As I watched the back of my van recede from view on June 3rd, I thought, what have I done? That was car number 1. Within 48 hours, Michael, Dylan, Garrett, and I were fighting over the one car we had left. Yep, 4 of us sharing one car wasn't going to work. We went 16 days fighting over one car between 4 of us. We are insurance agents, so 16 days later, I couldn't take it any longer, and I picked up a car unseen pretty much from a client who just wanted it out of her driveway. I bought Cheryl's son Sean's 2004 Toyota Camry with 148,000 miles on it for $1,000. I didn't care what it looked like. All I cared about was what I could fit in it. Step ladder and jack stands for our boat. I looked up cargo space specs online and was satisfied that it could do the trick. It had plenty of cargo space, in fact, more than the newer small SUVs I online, plus those SUVs were pricey. That was car number 2. Then 2 weeks after that, the weekend of July 4th, 2019, Michael and I were heading to a fun party at Bud and Tim's when we were finally going to get to meet some long-lost relatives. I was so excited. Right as we were pulling up to their home in Berea, we got the call. Dylan had wrecked my 2004 Toyota Corolla outside of Pittsburgh, somewhere in a downpour deluge. We had to leave the party to go get him 3 hours away. I never saw that car again. The car was totaled. Dylan was beat up and bruised and somewhat traumatized, but otherwise unscathed, thank you God. Then I got a rental car SUV through our insurance policy. I hated it. It was brand new, and I've since blocked out even what it was. I don't even know the make and model. I had it longer than my Toyota. It was car number, you guys have to join in now. We're on car number,
okay.
we're on car number 3. Yep.
So,
Yep. 4 weeks later, I got my payout for total loss on the Toyota Corolla and promptly made a call to one of our tow truck guys we insure. They always end up with cars sitting around their lots in various states of wreckage that are unclaimed. After months of the drivers being in jail or the car impounded, these tow truck clients assumed title of the vehicle. So I called Mark, what do you got? I told him I didn't want a drug dealer's car or one that had bad juju. Didn't want a salvage title. No car with an evil backstory. He had a 2008 Saturn Vue a kid had wrecked in Florida. The kid's dad only had liability on it and ended up in Mark's possession. Again, I didn't care what it looked like. All I cared about was what I could fit in it. Step ladder and jack stands for our boat, looked up cargo space specs online, and was satisfied it could do the trick. I picked up this car too, pretty much sight unseen. He had it fixed up and sold it to me for $5,000. This is car number
4. Quattro.
This is how I came to have 4 cars in 7 weeks. I love my Saturn. Then Garrett came home traumatized when college campuses shut down across the country in March 2020 due to COVID-19. We had to emergency evacuate him in a snowstorm March 22nd through the 24th. The 9-hour drive turned into 12 hours from hell. No, my husband did not wreck the car. Thank you, God. We returned to work, but with the car on March 25th. March 25th was the day our customer service rep walked out on us with no notice, and we're only a 3-person company. And Dylan got tossed out of his job due to COVID-19 in Silicon Valley with no notice, no severance pay. Did I mention he had high rent? Thank God I hadn't let him buy Francesca a car. Garrett's spring break was fraught with stress and anxiety, another missed opportunity for college kids whose world collapsed all around them. So when he asked me if he could go on vacation with 5 other kids ranging in 18 to 26 to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, I said yes, anything to make him happy again. He was not one of the 2 drivers. They were going down in 2 cars. Then the week they were to leave, May 17, 2020, one of the drivers bowed out. Garrett needed a car. I did not want to lend him car number 4, but I did. A week later, on March 20, again, I watched the back end of my 2008 Saturn Vue recede from view. I was horribly worried about 6 kids. May 25th, they arrived. Did I bleep out? Sorry. On May 25th, they arrived safely after a 13-hour drive. Thank you, God. This was the very same day that Derek Chauvin brutally knelt for over 8 minutes on George Floyd's neck, murdering him in Minneapolis, 9 states away. What happened to Garrett and his 5 friends, 9 states away in the deep South during the aftermath of the riots and police brutality is a horrible story for another time. I don't like to label people, but theirs was a very colorful group. 2 girls, 4 guys, 2 gay, 1 black, 1 Middle Eastern. 1 ended up in jail. They were in the wrong place in the wrong time in America. 6 kids north were not wanted down there, and they were threatened from day 1. On May 30th, with rioting and looting and violence going on everywhere across the country, Garrett wrecked my 2008 Saturn Vue 2 hours out of the gate. They were in Chadburn, North Carolina, in redneck hillbilly land. He had Anthony and Amir with him en route home. The 3 guys were beat up and bruised, all the airbags deployed, fractured sternum suspected, but otherwise escaped bad injuries. The car with the other 3 kids made it safely home. The aftermath of what Garrett and the 2 guys in my car went through and for another, also horrible, unimaginable nightmare story for another time. The 2008 Saturn Vue was also totaled. We got our baby safely out of redneck hillbilly land by plane on June 1st, and the other 2 guys made it back to Cleveland by plane June 2nd. Our entire family was in deep shock for quite some time after that, so I can't remember when I got my next rental car. I know I hated it. I know it was new. Can't remember the year, make, or model, nor can I remember how long I had it. That was car number 5. I got my payout for total loss on the 2008 Saturn Vue and promptly made a call to Mark, one of our tow truck guys we insure again. So I called Mark, what do you got? For the 2nd time in 9 months. This time, though, I didn't tell him I didn't want a drug dealer's car. I didn't tell him I didn't want one with bad juju, didn't want a salvage title, or no car with an evil backstory. He had no cars in the impound lot without bad history. He had a 2019 Hyundai Accent. It was totaled by some drug dealer thugs that rented it with the bad credit card from Enterprise. They were up to no good and were in jail somewhere. All I cared about now is that they weren't from Ohio. Didn't want them tracking the car back to me somehow. I didn't want to know more. My standards had considerably lowered. Plus, it was a salvage title. It stank. It reeked like pot and had cigarette burns in it. Again, I didn't care what it looked like. All I cared about was what I could fit in it. Step ladder and jack stands for the boat. I looked up cargo space specs online and was satisfied that it could do the trick. I picked up this new nasty car too, pretty much sight unseen. He had it fixed up and sold it to me on June 24th, 2020. Yes, is car number 6. And I'm almost done. I never knew what car I was driving nor which car was mine for 12 months. I never knew what I was looking for coming out to any parking lot at work, at the store, anywhere. I would wander around aimlessly pushing the key fob to see what car would light up. I would get into that one and hope it was mine. Once or twice I tried to get into a stranger's car. I walked up to cars with people sitting in them. Then right before I would go to open the door, I would realize it wasn't my car and it wasn't my husband. This is how I came to have 6 cars in 12 months. My 2019 Hyundai Accent, I had to actually look up my own auto insurance policy at work to verify this is indeed the car I now own. Does have fancy electronic features like backup video camera. I still crane my head out of the driver's side window and weave as I'm backing out of the driveway, oblivious to this camera. It also has media and electronic phone hookup, so it plays my downloaded Spotify music without me even doing anything, which I love. I also get phone calls from my dashboard I can answer with the touch of a button on speaker without looking at my phone. So nice. I left one of the drug dealer thugs' names in the electronic phone roster list in the dashboard for good measure when I deleted all the rest. I think of him fondly sometimes and hope his phone can't magically reconnect to mine via my new car. I've never received a call from him. His name is Slimy Davian.
Slimy. That's a good name.
Yep. He's still in my phone roster.
That's a cool name.
Mm-hmm.
Davian or Damien?
Slimy Davian.
Davian.
Yeah, it was spelled it is spelled Davian.
I wonder what he did to get the nickname Slimy. I'm assuming that's not his real name.
Yeah, I'm sure. His drug dealer calling card name or something.
It's listed
Call
as
Slimy,
that.
we need drugs.
Yeah.
He's probably like just a slimy person. Like, you know, like yeah.
I can't
That's
imagine.
not the guy I
Like,
want delivering my drugs.
Yeah, I know.
Right? You're gonna get
yeah,
your
that
slime
sounds
all
more
over
like an undercover cop car. Like,
Yeah.
Like, his name is not a narc.
Yeah,
Bob.
right. Right. Yeah. Maybe that was his name on his phone, but his drug name was something more. I don't know.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
it.
I can't think of any drug guy that would be like, yes, like put into the phone. Like, I like the name definitely, but I can't think of anyone that would be like my occupation, drug dealer.
I have no idea.
I feel like he must have had the name for some other reason before he became a drug dealer.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I like the Slimy Davian name. That to me that's pretty cool. But
Yeah, I don't remember what the other names were in the roster. There was other ones that were really bizarre too. But
So
that was
what-
the one that struck a chord with me. So I'm like, okay, then I'm gonna keep this one. This is probably one of the 3 thugs that wrecked the car.
right. So what are you like? What are you trying to do with it? Like, are you trying to?
What that essay? Oh, I've just
Yeah.
been doing a lot of essay writing during 2020 by various topics.
Right. Are
Yeah,
you
and
trying
maybe-
to like submit
maybe-
it somewhere?
I've never tried to submit any of my fictional work. The only writing that I've gotten paid for over my life has been like paid assignments, nonfiction stuff, like writing articles about how to buy a second home, or I wrote articles for a boating magazine, and I wrote for a magazine and wrote for Cleveland Jewish News. But I've had some of my poetry, besides with Ryan and his chapbooks, I've had some of my poetry published in Lakewood
Oh
Observer.
yeah, I think you're in Power of the Powerless, right?
Yep, I am. But as far as any of my essays, you know, I guess if you're, my goal would be maybe to one day try to submit it as a collection of essays and poetry, because there's a lot of poetry embedded into my essays.
Josh, go ahead and show off your books
Mm-hmm.
as you were trying to do. Josh is the original self-publisher that I stole his format for when I started publishing books for us. And I have since kind of
Those are nice.
retconned his original books.
Actually,
Some of those are Amazon, though.
three of these aren't technically self-published because this is kind of self-published through Beautiful Blasphemy. This one's Writing Nights. This one was originally through Poets Hall Press and Erie. And then, yeah, technically these three are through Beautiful Blasphemy, the Octothorpe.
Mm-hmm.
Everything.
He had some vanity projects he wanted to do, so I put them in a book. I did start
Very
putting
nice,
some of our
Josh.
books up on Amazon in collected volumes, but abruptly stopped that when I went back to work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There is a collected volume of Josh's first 4 books before Beautiful Blasphemy was ever a thing.
Oh yeah. A lot of that stuff ended up in these 2 books. But
And then
there's some stuff that's in that.
I don't know if it's on Amazon yet, but those last 2 that were published by Writing Nights and Erie, we own the rights to, and I think they might be on Amazon now. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty
He's
sure.
got 2 he did himself on Amazon, I think, and then 2 that we bought from their original
Mhm.
publishers to put up there. And then Beautiful Blasphemy has their own
I'm
page.
pretty sure. Yeah.
And is that
Yeah.
all poetry and prose, Josh?
All poetry for
All-
Josh, I think.
all
Yeah.
poetry. None of my prose is published because
Yeah.
I'm not as confident with my prose. I'm actually working on a novella right now, but it's not in a state that I'm willing to put out
I
there.
was gonna ask what you've been writing since you're going through shit right now, and that's usually the best time to write to get it out on
Yeah,
the
I
page,
know,
right?
it's true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not actually writing anything about the shit that I'm going through. I'm writing about the novella that I'm working on is basically how do I even explain this? Humans settled an exoplanet, and it's from the story from the sentient life that's on the planet,
Mm-hmm.
like already, which is like this kind of weird squirrel thing. They're watching this happen, humans settling it, and it jumps back and forth between the perspectives of the aliens and the humans, or the humans are the aliens in this case. And it's kind of just like a retrospective about perspective and like colonization and all these other things.
That sounds cool.
I don't know.
Sci-fi. I don't think you've
Is
done
it
that yet.
futuristic, Josh? Did you say? Is it a
Yeah.
future sci-fi?
Yeah, it's it's sci-fi, but it's like there's like a little bit of like a weird kind of fantasy element to it, just because the planet is so alien. And it's the whole thing is kind of it's very much like sci-fi, but like speculative evolution type stuff. It's hard to really explain exactly what it is. But I
Sounds
broke it
cool.
down, like each section is named after one of the components in one of the Gestalt principles. Each one of them is like, there's one that's perspective, and then there's one that's like common region, and then there's one that's called like common fate. Because like it's like a whole story about how your perspective changes the story, right?
Mhm.
That's being told. Because from the human's perspective, there's like a character who is very much like feels completely justified to like do like there's one point that they want to like cut down these trees on this planet to make a garrison or whatever, so that these squirrels, these like freaking weird 4-foot squirrel things, stop like stealing all their shit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when they go to cut down the tree bleeds and screams and the ground shakes.
Oh, that's cool.
And it like, and then like a few weeks later, that whole section of the forest gets up and walks away. Like,
Oh, I love it. Like the Ents in J.R. Tolkien, they can move. The
Okay.
trees can relocate.
Josh, you don't see the parallels between what you're writing and what's going on right now? At least the idea of how the story could completely change from multiple perspectives.
Yeah.
The narrative changes based on who's viewing it.
well, yeah. I mean, there's overlaps and there's things, but it's not a story about. I'm also working more literally on a collection of poems in the Tag universe, and I
Ooh.
subtitled it "Poetry about an Apocalypse, a Fictional Apocalypse Written During a Real One."
I like that.
So that was his Tag universe was something that I was stealing parts of for my own fictional universe that I was going to use to create a second book. I built a sculpture out of TVs and built a character around it from our Destructicon events, and I called it the Analog Kingdom. And then I made a little guidebook to go with the sculpture in our usual format. The second book I wanted to do was going to be a collection of everyone's short stories, like their unfinished ideas, the things they wouldn't do the whole of. And I was going to put it in this Analog Kingdom world, which is like, it has a lot of anarchy, junkyard aesthetics, along with, it's supposed to be this television aesthetics. It's supposed to be this universe that exists between the universes that is sort of a catch-all for all the discarded ideas and imagination.
Oh, I like that.
And it would be
Yeah.
So
this
I could
collection
give
of
you
short
all my unfinished projects could be part of it, added to that. I like that.
It's this. Well, basically, what it was is I listed a whole pile of ideas from various friends and their universes,
I like that.
and we would put it up on a crowdfunding site, and people would donate to the story they want, and those would be the ones that got in the book.
Oh,
And as
that's
soon
cool.
as the writer was paid, they would write their story, and whoever got it would get that story immediately, and then I would have it for the book, and kind of
Oh.
leapfrog that until we had enough to put the book together, along with a pile of my own ideas and art and aesthetic and stuff that would go into it. Like, I have ideas for characters, but I commission comic book artists to do it. Things like that.
That's
The
really
third
cool.
book would be later on where you actually develop a narrative for this world. This book was all just developing all these little people that could pop in and out of this world or not, their own self-contained stories. And it's multi-genre. And then there's even a kids section. In this book, I'm the Destructa King. My son is the Destructa Prince. And he has his own little section where all the little childhood fantasies live.
That's cool.
And they're
That's really
based
cool.
on
I
all
like
of our
that.
stories we make. Like, most of my creative energy writing-wise lately has been into Power Rangers fanfic with my kid. Like, I built a whole set of toys to go with it. I've commissioned some artists. I'm making his mother be part of the story by making her one of the Rangers that we nicknamed the Mommy Ranger.
Yeah, that's neat.
So, and then little
Really
bits and
creative.
pieces of that will be snuck into the story too. Josh and I have a fictional band we invented years ago as a joke while drinking wine. And I've like ran off the rails with it where like every album of theirs has to be a completely ridiculously mashed up musical style with an entirely different visual style.
Then are you making album covers then for it?
I think I'm going to commission some artists to make some album covers for it. But being that this band can now exist in this fictional world of lost ideas, we can put actual musicians in the pictures of the band.
Yeah, that's
But
cool.
I want the musicians to be dressed like entirely different than you would expect. Like think Elvis as a gangster rapper, Kurt
Like,
Cobain as a country singer,
that's
Freddie
good.
Mercury as a gospel singer.
A lot of paradoxes in there.
I mean, Freddie Mercury could be a gospel singer. That's not.
Oh,
even-
yeah.
He's
Oh, my
capable
gosh.
of it, but
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
not
he
his
was
style.
Yeah,
Like his look.
He was an opera singer, that's for damn sure.
I mean, and I don't think that Elvis Presley wouldn't be capable of rapping,
One of the best.
but
That's questions of different
just
things.
the look would be
I
startling
mean,
enough.
Elvis Presley's got a long history of stealing black music. Like, so.
Exactly. That was the joke.
Right?
Like, what if instead of being
Just
stealing rock and roll, he stole rap?
I like
But
that.
it's music is about
Wrap it
the
up.
idea of it, and if this is the idea of forgotten and lost ideas, then music is definitely one of those that are going to be in there,
Well,
including the
yeah.
idea of who that person was.
Yeah, exactly.
Is Eminem the modern Elvis?
Good what?
Is Eminem the modern Elvis?
No.
Nah, he's not good enough.
I
I like Eminem, but I don't like rap, so I
No,
don't
I
like
like
most of
the
his rap.
parallel you're
Elvis-
saying because he's like kind of stolen stuff, but he's more. I think
I don't
Eminem's
know.
more like
Has he done enough meth?
he's more ingratiated into the rap community. You know what I'm
You're
saying?
right. Yeah. You're
So he's
right,
more
yeah.
Elvis
accepted
took-
then. Well, because
Yeah,
he was.
rap is more accepted.
You say the
yeah.
part about being trained by Dre, basically. That might be why he's
Yeah.
ingratiated, because he's kind of got a guy who's
Yeah.
an in, a guy who
Right,
vouches
yeah.
for him.
Well, Elvis had guys that vouched for him too, though.
Well, yeah, and his was up through the gospel community, which would have been a lot of black people saying, "Yeah, he's cool."
I would almost say like if you were trying to go with something like a modern Elvis as a rapper, I'd almost be more like Kid Rock almost, just because I don't see Kid Rock as like accepted in like the rap community really, but he's got
Yeah,
you know, it's like
the thing is,
he's
Kid
tried
Rock
to
is not-
take some of that
Mhm.
like hip hop vibe. That's been his whole hip hop and metal and his, you know what I mean? Like he's just got this weird.
There's
But-
your Facebook questions for the day.
Yeah.
Who's the modern Elvis?
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I don't think Kid Rock is as big as like Elvis was to rock, right?
No,
Because
not even
Elvis
close.
was-
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that is the
Yeah.
other thing is it's you've got to remember that it's not just like modern Elvis, but like modern Elvis as you say a gangster rapper specifically, or just
Yeah,
a rapper?
that was
Yeah.
it. Well, it was part of the look. I wanted the
Talking
picture
about
of him
rap,
dressed up
right?
like a gangster rapper, but it's
Who
Elvis's
is
face
rap's
and body.
Elvis?
Yeah.
Is I guess the question, right? Who is rap's Elvis? Like,
Or you look at some real musicians that have been, you know, chameleons and changed so many different, you know, personalities and genres, like David Bowie or, you know, Peter Gabriel, that were
Yeah.
geniuses, or David Burns, even better example. And you look at how many different people they were over like a, you know,
Yeah.
40-year musical career, and they switched sides and, you know,
Yeah.
like that because they were just that incredible. And then you take that and add on that Ryan's saying. I think it's cool.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the art would definitely be part of the crowdfunding too. And
Yeah.
the cool part about that is that whoever might fund a piece of art gets the original.
Yeah, that's cool.
So all I got to
really
do
like
is
that.
scan it in for my book, and then they can have like an original piece of art too.
Yeah, I think.
And
that's
those
really neat.
are much more reasonably priced than like a writer's fee might be. The one thing I really wanted to push on this, it's a lot of back work to get it off the ground. So of course, during working, I haven't done any of it, but I want to make sure the writers are paid. Because
Yeah.
in every other project I've done before, I've gone on the extreme goodwill of writers submitting to me for free, because we're a free press. And this is a book I am going to put on Amazon because its format will be too big for the small things that I do.
Yeah.
If I'm going to do that and make it a commercial entity, you guys better get fucking paid for your shit.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
just, ethically, I didn't think it would be right to do that.
Project, and it's hard to even really like. That's my only big issue with this idea of yours that you've been pitching for a while. Is it is a big, ambitious project that's so nebulous in its concept. It's cool, but like you can't reduce it down to 2 sentences to which like somebody that isn't part of our like friend group wouldn't be like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
I understand, which is why each story would have that tagline, which is why when I was putting together my list, I asked, what's your story?
Yeah.
Like, give me
I
like
mean,
a pitch for your
it's
story.
hard to get people in on board is what I'm saying, because it's hard to like envision what the final product's going to look like.
I understand, and there is a lot of work to get to that, but you've seen me pitch some really crazy, stupid fucking ideas
Yeah,
before,
no,
and I
you got-
somehow make them work.
No, I'm not.
You guys
I'm
should
not
look up
denying you,
Destructicon
I'm just saying. I'm
or
always
Throne of
trying to
TVs.
make the voice of like, how do you
there's a
piece
lot
this in
of
a way that
figuring to
work.
do for sure.
I think it's cool though. And you have a big enough
Yeah.
umbrella and it can all fit under there, right? Art,
Mhm.
music, dance,
Oh yeah, it's gonna
poetry,
be
writing,
an oddball book that's gonna have a lot of zine
And
style
music.
to it.
and art. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think it's very cool.
And Josh's tag world bled out of his original zombie apocalypse world. And I
Yeah.
have my own original characters for zombie apocalypse world and his tag world that I'd like to get something
Yeah.
written about.
These are like ideas that are like decades in the I don't even want to call them making. Like they were just like
They're
the
either
zombie thing
jokes
was
or
like an earlier
costumes or
draft. The zombie thing was an earlier draft of something that became the tag concept, which I don't know if I even explained what that was.
nope.
Basically, if the apocalypse came about because of a disease that followed the rules of tag. So like skin to skin contact passes it and you don't know you have it at first, but if you touch somebody else you pass. Like and you become it. And the it is like interconnected teleconsciousness. So basically like think of zombies, but zombies can all communicate with each other telepathically.
Hive mind.
Well,
Yeah,
if
like a hive mind.
does it have the rule like when I remember playing tag, there was always like some way that you could be like we had freeze tag and I remember TV tag.
Mhm.
There was always some way that you could be like with freeze tag. Once you were tagged, you know, whoever was it would run around tag everyone.
Mhm.
Once they tagged you, you were frozen, right? So that was freeze
Mhm.
tag
Yeah.
until
Yeah.
like someone who
remember
was
that.
not it came and unfroze you.
That's
And I
right.
think
Yeah.
There's not a variant of that in it, but that's a good idea, and I might
that's
consider
what I'm
it.
saying. Like,
But what I did was I took all these other children's games, like playing games, aesthetics, and terms, and worked them into the lore of the world. So like the places that are like well-defended cities are oxen-free. Like there's one of them called Oxenfree is the big city. Like so like Ollie Ollie Oxenfree, and there's like these old decrepit cities that used to be like the high-tech cities that people would live in, that they would all listen, they'd all have like basically bracelets that would tell them when to wake up, when to drink, when to do all the things. And it was like Simon was the system.
Simon Says. Yeah.
So Simon Says,
Yeah. That's cool. I like that.
yeah. And
That's
so
neat.
like how the whole virus thing came about is like the Simon system is like this basic huge system that's managing a city's worth of people and
Mhm.
juggling their lives and stuff. And the only real directive it has is make sure people are healthy and alive, happy. And so it comes to the conclusion that, okay, well, they can't be healthy if I don't have enough food to feed them. So it's a resource management issue. So if they get this, like, so the best way to do it is if they all want the same things. And so like they pretty much create this virus that passes by touch to get everybody on the same boat, like the interconnected consciousness on the same boat. But it backfires totally. And the only like motivation, the tag virus, quote unquote, it's not really a virus, doesn't function like a virus, but the only motivation it has is the spread. And your identity just pretty much swipes. So it accidentally created it and the tag virus, just trying to figure out how to like best manage 30,000 people, you know, because it wasn't built for that. It was built for like maybe like 20,000 or something, or like not even that. But the cities became way bigger than they expected them to be.
Then is it
Anyway,
like
yeah,
the
so
Borg? Is it like the Borg collective consciousness then after they all get tagged? Or
it's like
does,
the Borg, except for if the Borg didn't have like
Central command.
base communication skills.
oh,
Like basically,
okay, yeah.
it's like they're like meat sack humans, right? But they're like their only major drive is to spread it and
Yeah,
become get more things going. They don't talk to you, they don't, whatever. If they see you, they're trying to touch you. That's what
Yeah,
they're trying to do. But then they're also telling all their friends in the neighborhood you're there. So I ran it as a tabletop RPG for a while, and that was a fun little dynamic to play with. Was when they walked into like a city and one of them saw them, it was like, oh shit, because like there were like 6 other ones about to bum rush.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, every element of the game was built on like some kid's playground game.
Yeah, I think that's
So
cool.
like the money was playing cards, and like the more you had of a kind that you had, the more it was worth. Like if you had a set, it was worth more. So people would go down and be like, they're like, oh no, go fish. And like, so the entire economy was based on go fish.
Oh, I love it. That's cool. I like the whole game
Yeah.
underlying. Kids game.
Yeah,
My
so that was like
our-
the tag universe thing, and it tried to make it many different things. It's tried to come up as like a screenplay. It's tried to come up as a collection of poems. It's tried to come up as this, that, the other thing. I've run it as a D&D like game. It's never actually found its home.
well,
like,
and
I've
that's
been around for decades.
that's part of like an ulterior motive for this project too. Like, for example, one of the people I want to do is an unfinished screenplay. These are places that didn't have homes elsewhere. Somebody reads it, likes it. It might either motivate that writer to do more of it, or it might
Yeah.
interest people enough to go like, I want to see its own version of this.
Mm-hmm.
Like more of it too. It's kind of given a little kickoff maybe to a lot of ideas that never had any homes or things done with
Yeah.
them.
I like that because, it is Christmas and Rudolph and, Island of Misfit Toys. So it could be the Island of Misfit Toys
It's
for
gonna
all the
be
unfinished
a
projects.
long time before I'm there. It's certainly not gonna be a Christmas thing. Maybe Christmas next year.
Yeah, Christmas next year. And fit in the Island of Misfit Toys concept. So it's a way to find unfinished business, make it finished.
Mm.
Hmm.
All right,
Yeah,
I'm gonna jump off of here.
Okay.
It was fun.
See ya, Josh.
Hey, Josh.
Later.
Yeah, I'm going to go pretty soon too, guys.
No worries.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something. Now I just completely lost it. Yeah, I've been doing lots of just little toy projects for my son lately. That's what I've been doing. I wrote a couple of personal things, but not anything too much lately. Usually boring factory work is where I'll get that shit out and write it down there. But I've been too occupied with other projects
Yeah.
because I have very little time for it.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit more since I haven't had my kid on the weekends anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I've been doing a lot of COVID writing because of this being such a painful year. Obviously the Cars came out of a really painful year that our family went through. Nobody wants to go through 6 cars in a year, and nobody wants 2 kids that are traumatized from totaling cars, because as Ben knows, even if you're not badly hurt totaling a car and getting in bad accident enough to total a car, you're going to be have a little PTSD, right? So that's not been a good year, and especially everything that that down in that part of the country, which I do plan on eventually writing Garrett's story of what transpired down there. That's a really painful story. So I haven't quite put pen to that. So I only allude to his story in here, but I'd even told him to help work through some of that he should write it all out. And he's 21 now. He hasn't done it. So, he turned 21 in August, and I'm like, a few months have passed now since the accident. You should write it down before you forget it. But, and then the relationships with those 6 kids got really damaged because of how damaging their experience was. And that happens to people. But so that the Cars, even though I made it lighthearted and hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and it was, hopefully entertaining, that's a lot of pain. But then I'm not going to read them to you, but I'll just tell you the titles of what I've been working on just in 2020. I have Spiritual Eyes Wide Open. That's a regular poem, stanzas and all. And then this one's really intense. And I don't know if anybody, eventually, I'd probably read it in 10-minute sections, because this is Notes from the Trenches, visiting homeless camps in downtown Cleveland. And right now it's 14 pages. And you were talking about perspective, or Josh was, I think. Too bad Josh isn't here just for me to tell him about that one, because that is entirely from my perspective as a entitled, white, middle class, middle-aged woman. So you can really feel my unease with that work that Michael and I started doing in March. We're still doing it, but with his knee replaced, we've missed 6 Tuesdays. So I was really missing our homeless people because we, our regulars we get really attached to. We know them by name. So I went with Carlos and John, by myself without Michael on Tuesday, and it was, I don't know the right word. It's not nice to see my homeless people, but felt
We lost
to
it for a minute.
reconnect with them, right? So the one guy did, and he lives in a refrigerator box, and I'm like, Federico, I missed you. And of course, even with COVID, I try to keep my 6 feet away from them, but they're safer with COVID than we are because they're so isolated. They're in tents, they're in places that you don't even know are there. So I can't run anywhere in downtown Cleveland and not go. That's where our heroin addict buddies are. That's where I know where they all are, and we minister to maybe anywhere from on a bad night maybe only 5, and on a heavy night maybe 30. But that's like the beginning. That 14 pages is some of my stories and interactions and how I evolved through my own feelings dealing with it, from extreme fear, because our car's like back a pitch black alley, and you're
Keep losing her. Do we lose her permanently yet?
worried about somebody coming out, from all corners of. What was that?
Oh, we lost you for just a second there.
Oh, Drain the Swamp. I read that one to I think a few of the poetry people that was here, and it was about a Trump sign that I saw that I thought was absolutely despicable. That's called Drain the Swamp. So that one I wrote in September, and it's called Drain the Swamp number 45. And then Unsmiling during COVID, nice and lighthearted poetry about how nobody smiles or says hi to me anymore because we're all wearing masks and nobody's friendly and nobody wants to connect. And then Evolution of the Circles during coronavirus. This one's really fun and entertaining, and it's about, because I'm really into music and haven't been able to dance or teach dance since March, and that one's really fun. It's about the red circles. If you went to any outdoor concerts or events, there were red circles and you had to stay in your circle. So that's what that one's about. And then this one is Pat the Calm Me Down, Lord. And I kind of wrote it with, it's like got a meter and metric, kind of like gospel singing. And then COVID Haircuts is a really good one on COVID haircuts. It's about mostly men and their hair. So maybe next time I'll read that one. And then, yeah. So that's the kind of stuff I've been doing. And this one, it's really weird. Anything that I wrote pre-March, I almost can't remember because it was like another part of me.
A whole different world.
Yeah. So when I have to look back at what did I actually write before that? Because and anything I wrote, I can't remember unless I'm rereading my own words, which is really weird. But this one I wrote Spiritualized, Wide Open. That's that one's kind of poetry more than prose too. So it's a mixed bag.
I like
Mary,
it.
I make books, right?
Yeah.
You could always ask me to make a book for you.
Well, maybe someday I'll give you all this junk.
But your bigger one about the homeless people,
Yeah.
especially if you say you're going to add more to it, I feel like that would have a place being self-published on Kindle Direct Publishing, which is Amazon's arm, publishing arm for anybody.
Yeah, I should probably look into doing that because I really feel like people need to know that it's as much as this one is as much about needing to educate people about the plights of the homeless as it is my story. It's my perspective about my reaction to them. It's not their story. It's not our homeless people's stories.
Right.
I don't want to say their stories don't matter. They've all gotten where they are for, a lot of reasons, and a lot of times we don't even know the backstory. Because you got a lot of mental illness, a lot of drug addicts, you got all kinds of stuff in there, right?
Ben lives in Conneaut. I'm sure he's familiar with both of those. Conneaut's got a pretty big problem with both of those.
Do they with homeless? Yeah.
It's not the homeless, it's the mental illness and the drug abuse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of meth and heroin, opiate abuses. Yeah, there's a lot of the meth and opiates was just destroyed so much of the people around here.
Oh,
So
I bet. Yeah, it does. It
I
destroys
don't
things.
like. I'm usually pretty like arm's length to stuff and pretty like naive. Like before all like car accident and everything, I had split up with my now ex-wife. But when we had initially split up, I went and stayed with a friend, right? That I just knew him from working at a factory years before, and I always bought weed from him. And I never knew the entire time that I was living with him that he was I don't know if it was meth or crack. I'm not really quite sure. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't, that's what I'm saying. I always try to stay naive to things, and then I've never done meth, so I don't know what it's like or what the signs are or anything. But then I stayed with him for about 4 months, and then he died.
Oh, that's sad.
I guess it was from meth or whatever. Like I didn't even know that he was dead. Like I was still working, right? And I didn't see him for a couple days. But it happened plenty of other times I hadn't seen him. And he would just be off with his girlfriend, or he did a lot of like work on cars and stuff. And I knew like his sister lived in, I want to say Painesville, but
Mhm.
I don't. Once I get up towards Cleveland, I have no sense of like the geography. So it's like Cleveland and like around Cleveland is Willoughby and Mentor, and
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying. To me, it's just a big smush.
Yeah.
But I knew he was going to go up there to help her with her fix like the struts on her van or something. So I figured
That's
he was
sad.
off doing that, and in fact, he was in his room just dead. And
Yeah. Probably indeed.
so that's what I'm
Well,
saying. Like it's
and I'll just tell you one thing before I go. But on when I went out with because like I said, Michael can't do it yet. Knee replacement because we drive about the route's about 30 miles total because you're just going all over the place. So it's town Cleveland. We're not leaving the city, but it's just all over every nook and cranny of the Cuyahoga River and every back alley and places that I never ever knew were even there. Places that under overpasses and bridges, really strange places. But so it's about a 30-mile route. And so that means in a 4.5 hour shift, we're still in the car probably 3+ hours out of that time.
what is it you guys are doing? Are you like taking like meals out and stuff, or
Yeah, if we have a church that brought meals to us before we start our shift, then we take that with us too, which is a plus because hot dinners. But our
Right.
normal thing that we're taking is when we get to, John works out of a church in Ohio City called Ascension. It's like a shut down. Basically, the church itself is like a what do you call it? It's an obsolete church, right? So they let him use it for free, and all of his supplies and donations that people bring, and mostly churches, are in the basement. And we go around and we pack bags. So we pack 20 to 30 bags, and they have everything from masks, toilet paper, water, hand sanitizer, canned goods with things, tuna. They need protein, peanut butter, snack bars, mostly healthy stuff. Sometimes because people donate, sometimes we'll they get a bag of chips, they get a bag of cookies, but it's a bag about like that each one gets. And in the summer, when it's super hot, then we're also taking cases of water, because there could be one homeless camp that might have 6 guys in it, and we're, besides giving each one of those 6 guys a bag, we're also offloading big things of water. There was one camp that used to use an outdoor shower setup, so we deliver the big water container, and they'd hook it up in a tree. I don't usually walk back into their actual camps. It's rare to do that because number one, it's scary, and number two, it's smelly, And number 3, it feels like somebody just walking in my bedroom. It'd be
Right,
like,
right. That's their.
like, so
If you don't have anything,
right. So
your
when,
spot where you can.
yeah. So our usual routine is when we drive down, say we're going to these guys that were under this bridge that's right by West 25th by Metro Hospital, we'll beep the horn because they're way back in there. So we'll beep the horn like 3 times. It echoes underneath the bridge, and then we stand and wait. And then, we'll whistle, as loud as I can. And then sometimes they'll whistle back, and then we wait for them to come down and come out. And then we stand in that area, as a group, and then we give them their stuff, and then they wander back in there. That's how it is.
Let me ask, have you, I mean, that's fantastic that you guys are doing that. Like, but have you considered, because you're saying like a lot of it, you're like writing like your experience of it. I kind of feel like, and maybe it might just be me, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to try and tell you do this or do that, but I almost think it would be really valuable because a lot of it is just you're recording your experience, what that is to see these people, see, what tragedies they're in, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think it would be interesting if you would not do like a live stream, but you know what I'm saying? Like, record yourself as you're doing that, like just do the same kind of things you're putting down, because there's so much information. There's so many details that, you can't take them and put them in a logical order. You have
right. And in that, you're right. There's times that I'm talking about a certain aspect of the job, like how shocked I was when we first volunteered and we found out that John, the guy who runs it, pretty much single-handedly, doesn't drive, doesn't have a license, doesn't have a car. And somehow, by the grace of God, he gets the right volunteers like Michael and I on Tuesday nights that go drive him around, right?
Yeah.
There's crazy, and then there's individual stuff about individual people, like Gary, the musician that in the summer would come out of his tent and play guitar for us and sing, and he was really talented. He is gone now because he went inside. So whenever they disappear, we like to know where, because you worry yourself silly when you don't get a end story. But Gary, we know went inside. He moved in with a woman or something, but he was on our route for 6 months, and I always wanted to make sure we gave Gary plenty of time, because if he wasn't stoned, we could get him to come out. Gary, get your guitar, and he would sing and play, and you could tell he had been a really talented person, right?
Yeah, that's
what
I was
derailed.
Say.
He got derailed somewhere along the line, and now he's 66, and he's because the people we're serving for the most part are choosing to be outside, which makes them a different breed than what's in the shelters.
Right.
They're choosing. I mean, I'm not saying there's an abundance of housing shelters available, but from everything I've known from talking to John since we started in March, the people that we're serving that are all outside they're outside for a reason. They're choosing. And some of it I know from them telling us firsthand, because we've had guys that were outside, then went into a shelter and hated it because they're not drug users, and everybody in the shelter was violent, and guys were getting beat up, and they're all drugging, so went back out. So most of the ones that are out, especially in the winter, they're choosing to be out there, which is that's a strange thing too that most people don't get. That it's hard to it's hard for me to even explain why somebody like Federico has told me he's been outside in Ohio for 25 years. And not just our summers are brutal, but not just our winters, but our summers are brutal. It's so damn hot. Yeah, it's so damn hot that, when you don't have a place to go to get in a car to go for a car ride to get some breeze through your hair, I don't know how they can even deal with it. The heat is unbearable, where they are. The heat to me, I almost would say is equal to, them being outside Tuesday when it was, 10 degrees with the wind chill like 2, right? Especially for all the guys that we have that are along the lake, right? Because, Cleveland goes along the lake. So there's a lot of them all along, you know, from East 55th to the Brown Stadium. We have a guy right on the other side of the Brown Stadium. He's exposed completely in the.
See, that's what I'm saying. It makes me think of
You know, the
almost
lake's
like,
right there. It's brutal. So it is. It's crazy. But yeah, I'm gonna keep adding to that one. And Ryan, if you wanna ask me whenever you're doing a book or something, I'll see if you might wanna put one in there.
Yeah, but you could also have your own book.
Yeah.
yeah, see,
And
that's
in
what I'm
that case,
saying.
you have to ask and tell me what you want in it.
Well, then I have to pay you too.
No, you don't. No one's
Well,
ever
how
paid
are
me
you
for this.
financing that? I can't have you do anything like that for free.
I
don't-
was printing for free at work and also making them while I was getting paid otherwise. But I lost that job and crowdfunded a printer.
I know. That's what I.
No, I don't get paid for it. I do it because I want to do it.
Yeah, I'd have to be able to sell them, and you know, maybe after COVID I could, and then I'd pay you off the sales.
If you want, but I'm not
Yes.
requiring it.
Because with Dylan, with his poetry, and I mean his poetry is really really good, right? I mean he's way better than me, frankly, and he's a better writer, I think, overall than me too. But I've edited all of his stuff, so he would like to talk to you and Josh, I'm sure, because he's been working on a novel called We Tech that has all those kind of, you know, weird, crazy elements like what you and Josh were talking about, a lot of sci-fi, a lot of weird. But he just turned 26 and his birthday was the 18th, so 2 days ago. And after we all had dinner, the 5 of us sat in the living room and he read us out loud 36 pages. It took him 3 hours. And of course, Garrett was an at the time. Francesca was like laying on the floor, and I might have zoned. His writing is unbelievable, and it was 7 and it's all these like weird sci-fi components and this, you know, underworld extraterrestrial stuff that makes me think that he has something in common with Josh for sure, with that kind of heavy elements. And the reason he wrote it, it's almost like a weird fairy tale thing, is he wrote it for himself to have the history for the We Tech novel that he's been working on for years. So this was basically written because he needed a structure so he doesn't forget his own history for this bigger, you know, masterpiece, I guess. But anyway, so.
What was I going to say? Ben, the reason I originally asked you to do the comic too was because 2 of your characters.
Oh, I lost you again.
I made a copy of, because I might want to include them in the Analog Kingdom. I think one of them was Discordia or something of that nature.
I'm losing you, Ryan. I missed part of what you're saying because you blipped out. Say it again.
Ben, you had 2 of your characters that you drew that I saved a copy of offline because I wanted to include them in the Analog Kingdom book.
Oh, nice.
Were they with the poetry thing I had given you, or?
No, it was something you posted just randomly when you're doing artwork of characters and put it on there.
Oh, in October?
I think it was Discordia might be the name of one, but I kind of saved the copy of it to bug you about later whenever I get the book together and say, these
Like,
2 characters look about right.
Was it like there was 2 of them together?
Yep.
Okay, those weren't mine, right? That was you know who Tom Scioli is?
Nope.
Okay, there's a fellow named Tom Scioli. He's from Pittsburgh. Actually, they just had a thing that I'm not sure it was like NPR or something, but like he just put out like a book that is, you know, it's like a comic, but it's like a huge comic that's all about the life of Jack Kirby, right? But Tom's been doing like comics like, I want to say like 15 or 20 years or something, but he was like one of the days for like our Inktober thing, right? And I had never seen the characters before. I was just like looking through, it was like, do one of Tom Scioli's creations. And that was, I'll have to look it up because I know what you're talking about. Like one was like, there was a girl and her name was Discordia. and I remember she was like red, maybe like her suit was red.
Yeah, she reminded me a lot of Divatox from Power Rangers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it was. I saw
Yeah.
him, and I had never read it before. I just I saw the characters and I was like, oh, those look really cool, you know.
Project is so far out that
Right.
I just kind of made it as a footnote for now.
Right on.
So I am probably going to end this soon.
Yeah, I have to go, guys.
Okay.
So
And
it
I'll,
was nice meeting you, Ben.
Yeah, nice
I'm
And
meeting you.
doing
thank you, Ryan, for hosting.
real quick, Mary. I'm doing
Yeah.
a GoFundMe to get a SoundCloud account to put up podcasts that I've made.
Okay. And that'll be on Facebook?
Facebook has the link for the GoFundMe on it.
Okay. All right. Sounds good, guys.
All right.
Bye.
And then
think I
before I
can
leave,
just shut
Ben, I was
this.
going to
Wait a
let you know. Denny's Day is one of the podcasts, so this is recorded. But
Right,
before I
right.
ever do anything with it, I ask people if it's okay.
Yeah, I saw that. That's fine with me. I don't.
And that's the adult one. And then I have a kid one where I do a podcast with my son. I have many episodes recorded that I haven't done anything with. So it's kind of just to be a repository for my audio projects, nerd
Right.
chats, and things like that. But I had also told people that I will host other people's stuff and make playlists. I'm trying to afford the better SoundCloud so that I can do that.
Right.
That lets me separate it. And David Jackson will be one. But if any of my friends want their own little podcasts up there, my art group has always been like this collaborative work. Most of the time it's my projects and I bring in a bunch of other people, but it's not always that.
Right. Yeah.
So if that ever interests you, hit me up. Feel free to share the GoFundMe, find my Facebook page. It'll be up there. I'll probably do it whether or not it gets funded, but it's just going to be easier and quicker if I can get it funded.
Right on. Yeah, I don't know too much about I mean, I know a little bit about audio stuff, but good places to host stuff, I'm not.
SoundCloud is a very popular platform that's on
Yeah.
both Android and Apple, which
Yeah,
is part of the reason I chose it.
I use SoundCloud just for music, but
A ton of podcasts up there too.
right. That's what I'm saying. Is I know that's the thing. I know podcasts are really popular, but I don't know with Apple Podcasts, I don't know what the requirements are to put them on there or Google Play.
Yeah, I
you know what
looked
I mean?
into it, and this seemed to be the best option for what I wanted to do. You can get a free account if you want to upload your own stuff, but then there's only 15 minutes, and you can't organize them into playlists.
Oh, okay.
And everything I've done is always longer than 15 minutes.
Right.
So, and I have a ton of old shit. I just want to have an online way of people to access stuff that's just audio only.
Right on. Yeah, because
So,
I mean that is the thing is you want to be able to have it so that because you can say I know there's YouTube. I don't think YouTube has any.
you can make a video out of an audio only thing, which I've done before, but it's a lot more labor intensive. I'm not too big on the editing. I like things to be mostly raw.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to tell Mary with her thing there. I think that would be really cool if she almost turned it into a podcast thing of just capturing that okay, we're driving up to the bridge or we're driving over here. Last time we were here, these guys were here and we gave them this stuff. You know what I mean? I think that would be really interesting. I think people would like that just to be able to kind of ride along and experience that themselves, because that's what she's not telling, the stories of the homeless guys. She's not saying, okay, this is Jimmy and his story is this. She's saying, this is what we're doing. We're going out and we're serving these people, trying to help them,
Yep.
But, yeah,
okay. All right.
Good deal.
Rad man, keep up with me with any projects you want to do. And we'll go from there. But I think I'm going to tap out for now.
I hear you. All right. Yeah. I gotta get back to drawing. So, all right. Thanks.
Yep.